friends, and welcome back to my kitchen. I know it's been a while since I've posted a review video. As many of you know, I was traveling for basically the month of September, so I wasn't able to film, but I'm excited now. I'm going to be reviewing another indie author, and the book is called Dyrwolf. It is actually a duology. I read both of them while I was traveling, and today, in honor of that, I'm going to be making something I've never done before, and that is a rabbit stew. I've already done some of the prep work in advance. I apologize for those of you who are riveted by me chopping. So we can just jump right into talking about the book. So the main plot of this book is there is a colony that was taken over by shifters, basically wolf shifters. And the people who were living there originally have been ostracized, and they're living in a village. It feels dystopian, however, it's definitely set in a historical time period. It definitely feels like Revolutionary War era in some of the dialogue and in some of the things that they talk about, one of which is cooking rabbits a lot. It's one of their main sources of food there in the village. With our rabbit, I've already divided it, and I'm going to heat some olive oil in a skillet, and I'm going to fry up our friend here until it's golden brown. So let's do that. So our main character is Leah. She is 16 years old, and she lives with her father. There's a lot of controversy surrounding Mom. Mom, in Leah's perspective, basically abandoned them to go live at the colony. And we know horrible things happened to Leah's mom. We're not sure exactly what. For Leah, what you need to know is she feels abandoned. She provides food, but Leah is often debilitated by migraines, which, as somebody who suffers migraines, I can attest that there are days when you can't even get out of bed. And I really like the representation the author did. They described it perfectly, what it's like to be getting a migraine. Because of that, there's not a whole lot else that she can do to help the village. And of course, with that comes a little bit of shame. She is really hoping to prove herself. The village and the colony are separated by a river, and nobody's allowed to cross that river. Okay, my oil is getting kind of shimmery. I'm gonna start adding in rabbit pieces. So let's see how she goes here. So I'm just gonna start laying down some pieces until they're golden. And I might have to do this in chapters because I think my rabbit might be too big. Okay, I have my rabbit all sauteed and goldeny. I now am going to be working in a Dutch oven, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to tell you more about our plot. As I said before, Leah is 16, and the teenagers in her village at one point usually have a trial to prove themselves. So for her, she is given the task of journeying across the river and setting fire to the colony's crops. I just added a tablespoon of olive oil, and I'm going to be into that putting in 2 large onions and 3 cloves of garlic. Anyway, so she goes over to the colony, and amidst her setting fire to the crops and trying to do this thing to prove her worth, her friend gets captured. And of course, she is devastated. It's her best friend, and she's like, we gotta go save him, we gotta go save him. But of course, they're not gonna do that because the colony occasionally does kidnap people from the village, and they basically become their slaves. But Leah isn't content to just stand by and allow that to happen. So what she does is she goes to journey out to try to rescue him. On her journey to go free her friend, she stumbles upon a white wolf stuck in a trap. Now, as I said before, people in the colony are wolf shifters, and she knows immediately that this is her enemy, and she's kind of sizing him up. But then seeing the white wolf triggers a memory in her of visions that she's been having of said white wolf. So I'm going to saute this until they become a little bit more transparent, the onions. Alright, not as transparent as Leah's plan, which is to free this white wolf in order to use him to get access to the colony to free her friend. So she befriends him. His name is Henrik. And he seems like a friendly enough guy. He's her age. He's kind of flirty, but she's like, I'm not gonna fall for that, but also I'm gonna play into it so that I can get the information that I want. This young, handsome young man, and Leah, who's pretending like she doesn't actually care about him because he's her enemy. They, of course, inevitably go closer, but there's this sort of shadow hanging over them of, are they just acting, trying to get what each other wants? And it's pretty clear that Henrik is holding back. He seems to know who she is, first of all, which is alarming. But he also clearly doesn't really want to give a lot of details away about who he is. He's just pretty evasive about himself personally, but in the end, she's like, oh, I don't care, because when we get to the colony, then I'm just going to ditch this guy anyway. Okay, now that our onions are kind of getting cooked down, I'm going to add some butter. Boop, boop. 2 tablespoons of butter. When that's all melted, I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of flour, and then I'm going to let that kind of cook down. So their alliance really gets put to the test throughout this journey. She has to save his life, he has to save hers, and of course, inevitably, the line between reluctant allies and maybe something more starts to blur. Till they get to the colony and it all blows up. And I don't want to get into too much what happens because there's a lot of secrets that are revealed, but I will say I really liked the way the author did put in all those twists and turns. And in a lot of ways you're like, you can kind of see some of it coming, but not all of it, especially in regards to who she is and why she's so special. I'm going to go ahead and add in some flour. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cook that down. Okay, now to this mixture, I'm going to add 3 cups of vegetable broth. And then I'm going to add an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. And then to that, I'm going to add a half a cup of red wine. Pro tip, make sure you always taste your wine while you're cooking. I've already pre-chopped up some potatoes, 3 small potatoes and 3 medium carrots, and that is going to go in here as well. Parsley, some sage, some thyme, some salt, and pepper. I'm going to mix this all up, and then I'm going to add my rabbit pieces to this delicious looking stew that I'm sure our characters probably would have eaten themselves, because in the book they eat a lot of rabbit stew. Basically, they just need to be covered by all the liquids. So I have all my little rabbit pieces nestled on in their little bath. And so I'm going to bring this to a boil and then cover her up. And then she's going to cook for a while, and then we'll be back to talk. Okay, the house smells amazing. Our pot had simmered for an hour and a half. What I'm going to do is take the lid off. A tablespoon of butter. Boop. And then I'm going to let that melt in there. And then what we're going to do is, after it's melted, we're going to let this thicken up. And it says it should take about 30 minutes. So it's going to get like a stew consistency. Behold the rabbit. I'm trying not to spill on myself. It's literally like falling off the bone. Because we can't just eat stew or really anything by itself. I have to have a lovely libations to go with it. In honor of my trip, I will be drinking a Genever cocktail today. For those of you who don't know, Genever, which was made in Amsterdam, is the precursor to gin. So for our delicious cocktail, we are going to start with 50 mLs of Bols Parfait More liqueur. So here are my final thoughts. This isn't just a shifter romance. I find it was way more unique than I thought it was going to be. It's not just here are these werewolves and the things that they have to go through. There were definitely a lot of nuances within their society and also with their backstory. And then they weren't just shifters. They actually had kind of a magic system within certain members of their society, which I thought was also very interesting. I'm going to now add 30 mLs of the Genever and then 10 mLs of simple syrup, which I make myself. To that, I'm going to add 6 to 8 mint leaves. I really hate it when they give me a range because then I don't know what to do with myself. I think I want this kind of on the more of the Genever and the liqueur forward, so I'm only going to add 6. And I'm going to concentrate so I don't miscount. Shake it. It's so pretty. I also forgot to mention the name of this drink is the Shades of Grey cocktail, because that's what we have in this story. A lot of different nuances with the characters. You kind of don't really know who's the bad guy and who's the good guy in many instances. And there's also a lot of underlying mystery with who our main character is really. And the big question, why did her mom abandon her? I mean, that's pretty gorgeous, in my opinion. This is also homemade bread that I made today. It's rosemary and coarse sea salt. Let's go ahead and chomp on into this as if we are living in a revolutionary society where we've been exiled from our homes. Let's start with our delicious stew. Okay, so like I said, this meat is literally falling off the bone, so I'm just going to try to scrape a little bit off. It's my first time cooking rabbit. I mean, if that's what I had to eat, I don't think I would really mind having to live exiled. Let's dip a little bread in it. Cheers. I'm glad I only put 6 pieces of mint in there. Very refreshing. Like the story, please take a chance on indie authors because you will find something for every taste. Paranormal, shifter romance, intrigue, rebellion, angst. lots of angst. Thank you so much for being here. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Please like and subscribe. Also, I now have a Patreon, so if you become a member, not only will I be eternally grateful, but I do like to give away stuff. I will actually have a giveaway that will start this month. Exclusive content, and also if you like videos like this, I have a video series where I do a mini review and make a cocktail based on the book, because that's honestly, besides eating, my favorite thing to do. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off so I can eat more. Thank you.